The Pomodoro technique is an efficient method pertaining to time management. This technique was introduced or devised by an Italian gentleman by the name of Francisco Cirillo. Francisco Cirillo devised this concept, which went on to be a very effective medium for millions of individuals who wanted to manage and were able to manage time in a better manner. Because time management is an issue which many of us or most of us face on a daily basis. At the end of the day, there are only 24 hours, and how we maximize the output within those 24 hours can be a key differentiator between success and failure. Now, why is this technique called the Pomodoro technique? So, Pomodoro in the Italian language refers to tomato. So, when Francisco Cirillo devised the Pomodoro technique, which was in the 1980s, he utilized a timer because, as a part of this technique, it's important to have a timer, which I would go on to explain to you the process as we move along. So, he utilized a tomato shaped kitchen timer to track the various elements pertaining to this particular technique. And because of that tomato shaped kitchen timer, the technique came to be known as the Pomodoro technique. As I mentioned, Pomodoro in Italian refers to tomato. So when it comes to this particular technique, what is it all about? So it's a very simple technique. It doesn't have too much of rocket science. It only requires a scientific and methodical manner in approaching the entire process. And I'm sure many of us may be even subconsciously following the Pomodoro technique. However, it's good to understand that there is a science and an art behind this particular technique. So this technique requires a timer, which could be in the form of an alarm or a timer on your digital device, such as your mobile phone. So what you need to do, the first step would be to identify the task that you want to focus upon. So the Pomodoro technique requires you to work with unilateral focus rather than multilateral or multi-channel or multiple focus. The Pomodoro technique requires you to identify one single task and work with full focus on that particular task. So the first step would be for you to identify what that task would be that you would require to focus on. Then the next step would be to put an alarm on the timer or the alarm clock or possibly on your digital device for a time duration of 25 minutes. So once you set the timer and you set out to your task, for the next 25 minutes, you will have to work with full focus without any distraction. After 25 minutes, once the alarm goes off, you can take a break for 5 minutes. You can go for a small walk or basically just be seated wherever you are. So the choice is yours. However, you can take a 5-minute break, and then again the timer can be put for the next 25 minutes, and again a 5-minute break can be taken. Now this process would be repeated 4 times. So the overall duration would be for 2 hours, where there would be 4 breaks of 5 minutes each. So this can be continued, and once you complete those 2 hours, then you can take a longer break of up to 30 minutes and then possibly restart your activity or possibly go to another task by itself. In case you have completed one task over those 2 hours, maybe you can identify the second task and move towards that. So although we all focus on multitasking in some manner, however, the Pomodoro technique envisages the requisite to focus on one single task. You need to ensure that that particular task and its completion is emphasized upon and executed well. So this was the Pomodoro technique, pretty simple, where you need to be focused on a task for 25 minutes over 4 separate sessions, taking breaks in between, and also a longer break after you complete the 2 hours which have been stipulated under this technique. So the Pomodoro technique, in all its simplicity, has benefited millions of individuals over the past several years. So it was formulated by Francisco Cirillo in the 1980s, and over the 40 plus years that have ensued, this technique has benefited multitudes of individuals. People have become better at managing time globally by following the Pomodoro technique. Now, what are the advantages of the Pomodoro technique? So there are 5 clear advantages that the Pomodoro technique provides. The first point is the most critical element of focus. So this technique enables you to focus on your task without any distractions. Of course, you will have to take the initiative for that, because just following a technique and getting distracted will not do. So you will have to ensure that whatever you're doing, you will do it with full focus. So focus is the first benefit. The second point is burnout. Since at regular intervals, or every 25 minutes or every 2 hours, you are taking breaks, what would happen is your ability to be fresh and focused would be higher. So you would not get too much stressed out, or there would not be burnout, which would happen because of the fact that you're taking breaks at intermittent levels or at intermittent time gaps. So that's the second point. The third element is productivity. So your productivity would get enhanced, and that's going to be extremely important, because at the end of the day, whenever we want to do something, at the end of the entire process, you have to get more productive. So this particular technique enables you to get more productive. Because of all these factors, what happens is your level of motivation also increases, and that's another benefit that you derive from the Pomodoro technique. You remain motivated, you remain rejuvenated, and because of this thought process that you focus for an activity for 25 minutes and you would then get an opportunity to take a 5-minute break, what happens is somewhere there is this element of positivity and motivation which would possibly egg you on to be completely focused and also help you to execute your task or whatever you're doing in the best manner. So that's the next point. The final point pertaining to the Pomodoro technique is you also would be able to manage your entire process of tracking whatever you're doing in a effective manner. So since you are managing time in a scientific manner, you would also be able to track whatever you're doing in a much more efficient manner, rather than matters being all over the place. So once you decide to follow a certain process or a technique, what happens, the way you monitor and track your progress would also be positively impacted. So these are the key benefits of the Pomodoro technique. So irrespective of however simple it sounds, it's a process, it's a technique, it's a science, and I also say that it's an art. An art in terms of how you manage yourself and your time more efficiently. Understand that time once lost never comes back. So time management is the key pertaining to how we move forward in terms of the road to success and achievement. So my best wishes to you in terms of implementing the various steps pertaining to the Pomodoro technique, and also reaping the various benefits which I specified, which I'm sure would enable you to manage your time in a superlative manner and definitely be an even greater achiever and an executor pertaining to your tasks. Thank you very much for your time.